Thanksgiving has got to be one of the most problematic days of the year. Do you remember going to a food coma because you ate too much? This is how Thanksgiving be like. We can't talk about Thanksgiving without mentioning the greatness of Thanksgiving break. And whether you have work or school, there are many great things that come from it. First is that during the break, you get to do the things that will get you scolded in both places, and that is eat. No supervisor or teacher telling you that you aren't allowed to eat, meanwhile their mouth is full and have a 5-star course meal on their desk. Next, you're in the warmth of your home and don't have to commute outside, as here in New York City, trying to go outside in the fall is a chore. But arguably the best thing that has come from the break has to be if you're in school. And if you are, you know what's coming next. Break season. If you don't know what break season is, it's during the time of the school year, from December all the way through March of the next year, where we would have at least 1 week off in these months. And once break season was approaching for us, it became the talk of our entire high school. Hopefully they didn't change it, but what we didn't talk about were those extra couple of days off we get like Thanksgiving, that they are nearly as long as a week. And if you plan on traveling for the holiday, it very well counts as an unofficial extra week off you'd get. And any time away from the prison, that school, is a victory. Now we got the movies and TV specials. While not being as fun as Christmas, as how can you compete with the GOAT of regular holidays, Thanksgiving though has its own iconic holiday shows. First, we have the all-time classic, the Macys Day Parade, here in New York City. I never went there despite being in New York City since I was a baby. It's always been a fun time waking up, running to the living room without a care in the world for school, and watching the big mascots fly in the sky for the holiday. And unlike the next thing, they actually did change up the parade from time to time, like with the additions of Goku being added only for the host to fumble his name each year. So you can't have everything, I guess. But the other thing I was alluding to was this. I remember when I was little, every time it became Thanksgiving Eve, I would always dash to my living room at around 8 p.m. in the night to watch the Charlie Brown special, even though it got old real quick over the years, but it was at least fun to watch for the time. And everyone here would rather be home than dealing with the terrors of school, so it's good. Plus, since we're now in late November, holiday season is full in effect. And even though I disagree, Christmas music and movies are playing as well, whether you like it or not. And it really does take away from the holiday, as we're supposed to be focused on Thanksgiving, not Christmas. But enough about the stuff we'd watch. Let's talk about the types of people we'd encounter on the holiday. First, we got the cool cousin, the person you've been waiting for to show up. As you know, the moment they show up, y'all are getting into the largest amount of foolery in the shortest amount of time. Only Thanksgiving victory. Next up, we have the annoying family members. It could be anyone. Babies or little kids who want to do their best impression of the Apple alarm as soon as they enter in your house, or they choose to use their entire time around you as an interrogation session, as they attempt to get every single bit of information out of you in front of everyone, if you're comfortable about it or not. And these are honestly the ones I'm least comfortable with as an introvert, as I don't even want to be around so many people in the first place. But now what is supposed to be a calm event turns into one of the worst experiences, as your relatives try to extract the final digits of your social security card. Then we got the menaces, and you know them all too well, as wherever they go, trouble has to follow them. It's like the menaces from your school intrude the very place they can't reach you, your home. And now for the time being, there's no place for you to relax and debrief from your current situation. It's like if your nightmares came to life, truly terrifying. Now we get to something even more enjoyable. Well, hopefully. Thanksgiving games. And they could be anything, from gaming with your cousins to physical games like football or basketball. And this is one of the biggest games of 50-50 you'll ever participate in, because either your family members are chill, or you have the unstable ones that take family games too seriously and ruin the fun for everyone. But as long as you're playing a game with people you find comfortable with, is the most comfortable experience for me. And an extra bonus is when your parents aren't that strict and don't force you to hang around or play with anyone. Most of the times I just play with my friends online. But other things that happen during Thanksgiving games are the family gathering. But let me ask you, what happens during a family gathering if you get lost? There was this one family gathering I had on my dad's side, where all of his family gathered in a huge park, and they were eating, playing games, celebrating, you name it. So what had happened is that I decided to just walk around the whole park by myself. But the only problem was that it wasn't just my dad's family, but there were multiple families at this park. So safe to say, after a while, I was pretty lost and had no idea where I was going. But I managed to retrace my steps after a couple hours and managed to find my way back without them noticing. Yeah, don't do this. Now we get to arguably the hardest part about dealing with Thanksgiving: cooking. And if you're not cooking, or your parents say that you're not allowed to do any cooking, take that as a blessing, as trying to cook for a Thanksgiving feast is nothing short of a disaster. From having to treat the turkey like it's a baby, with all the cleaning and preparation you have to do, 3 to 5 days before you even start cooking it is just criminal. And don't get me started on when an accident happens, because they happen a lot. Like someone is dealing with a lot of food at once, then all of a sudden you hear the smoke detector rush into the kitchen only to see that they burned the chicken. And you're like, why? And especially when it's someone's first time or they're new to cooking, as every action they take is an extra 10 steps longer. And that would be fine pretty much every other day in the year, minus a couple other holidays, but it's Thanksgiving. We have no time at all. But this leads to what we call the war zone. And the war zone we're talking about is how the kitchen looks like the week before Thanksgiving, as it looks like a bear was busy going through and vandalizing the kitchen while you weren't around. This has to be the second worst time leading up to Thanksgiving, as the kitchen looks like a nightmare, but the bigger nightmare will be having to clean up this mess. But with all this talk about food, let's go over the certain foods that you'd get during Thanksgiving and rank them. First, we got the ultimate S tier. Anything potato related. These are my favorite vegetable and can be pretty much anything, from mash to french fries, sweets, even chips, if that's what you want. There was a title of potato CEO. I want that title now. We got 2 A tiers next. Anything chicken or beef related. Nothing else to be said, just 2 solid food choices. Pie is also an A, but I'd like to try more types in the future. Then we get to gravy. This gets a solid F for me, and the reason is because one time when I was like 4, I let my intrusive thoughts win and tried just eating the gravy alone, and for the first time in my life, I knew how it felt to be a Taco Bell enjoyer. Now we get to the mascot of the holiday, turkey, and I may upset some people when I say this, but I'll give it a solid B tier. The reason is because, one, it could just be the way how my family makes it, as they didn't have Thanksgiving in their home country, so the way how they prepare it just doesn't mesh with me at all. But the other reason is that, as you could probably tell, I prefer the other options on the list, such as chicken or even beef over turkey. I'm just really not interested in it. But with all the food preparations, introductions, and awkward moments out of the way, here are the different types of things you experience at the Thanksgiving table. First are the overeaters, and there are 2 different types of overeaters. Depending on your family, they'll either have one big feast at night or a big feast for every meal. So the first types are the savers, the ones who starve themselves from the night before, and then when the feast is about to begin, they act like they haven't seen food for the past 84 years, before absolutely annihilating their food in the plate and the table as well. The next types are the complete opposite, the destroyers, as every meal they have probably rivals the amount Goku eats on a daily basis. And good for them, there's nothing wrong with enjoying food. But there's one small problem these 2 types may encounter as soon as they finish their food, and that is the food coma. And we've all had it. I am very experienced with the food coma, as after eating way too much in such a short amount of time, your body's like, screw this, and puts you to sleep so you can't give it more work to do. But I believe this has to be the worst thing about Thanksgiving. After you wake up completely lost due to your food coma, you stumble your way to the sink and come face to face with the Eiffel Tower level of unwashed dishes, and you say to yourself, happy Thanksgiving. What is your favorite thing about Thanksgiving, and what do you like to see next? Consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time in the sanctuary.